June 2016, New York, the UN headquarters. Kazakhstan's delegation is rejoicing. The representatives of Thailand are disappointed. Astana beat Bangkok by 83 votes and won the right to become a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council in 2017-2018 from the Asia-Pacific Group. 138 countries entrusted Kazakhstan the right to participate directly in matters of peace and prevention of war. Deservedly, there are no accidents in such serious matters.
Избрание Казахстана в непостоянные члены Совета Безопасности ООН.
Election of Kazakhstan as a non-permanent UN Security Council member is an historic achievement. This is not only Kazakhstan's success, but of the entire Central Asian region, which had never been part of the international body responsible for global peace and security. Kazakhstan was elected as a member of the UN Security Council for the next 2 years. It will be a difficult period in international relations. We intend to draw the attention of the global community to our initiatives. Kazakhstan's initiatives are aimed at building the world free of nuclear weapons and the virus of war and conflict. Kazakhstan will work to achieve this noble goal by the centennial of the United Nations in 2045. Participation in solving present time's key problems opens up the opportunities to develop relationships with many countries and regions. Kazakhstan's non-permanent membership at UN Security Council is the deserved success of the people of Kazakhstan. This is an indicator of the nation's maturity. The intrigue of who is going to win from the Asia-Pacific Group was maintained until the last moment. This happens rarely. Usually the winner is determined in the process of preparation and comes to the final vote without any competitors. This was seen in the case with Ethiopia, Sweden, and Bolivia that had no contenders in their regional groups. However, Kazakhstan has had a strong and experienced opponent. Thailand worked as a member of the Security Council 10 years ago, whereas Kazakhstan still had never received such honor before. However, Kazakhstan's initiatives and authority on the international arena were properly credited. This is, of course, the merit of our diplomacy. At the same time, the membership is due to the Kazakh president, his weight on the international arena. Kazakhstan will be a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. Our diplomats have worked up to the color in order to win more votes in the competition with Thailand. It was a very hard work.
It is obvious that the success of the Republic of Kazakhstan during the elections to the Security Council of the United Nations is based on a number of very important international initiatives of President Nursultan Nazarbayev of Kazakhstan, as well as the recognition of the achievements of my country in socio-economic development.
Kazakhstan's election to the UN Security Council demonstrated that its foreign policy is respected by the international community. It is significant that this happened the year marking the 25th anniversary of Kazakhstan's independence. As it was the case with the chairmanship of the OSCE, Kazakhstan became a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council at the challenging times of the global economic crisis and increasing terrorist threat. Indeed, Kazakhstan has shown a lot of courage when it joined the Security Council in such a difficult time. 2 years is a lot. Kazakhstan will have the chairmanship at the Security Council. I'm sure that this will be a great success and Kazakhstan's diplomacy will become even more visible on the international arena. This is a very important step in the history of Kazakhstan's diplomacy, and moreover, Kazakhstan gained even more distinct presence in the international arena.
I hope that you can contribute also to open up the working procedures of the Security Council. There's a lot of new thinking about how this work should be made in cooperation with the General Assembly, I think Kazakhstan can play a big role here.
Well, first of all, I would like to start by warmly congratulating a great friend, Kazakhstan, on the successful election to the Security Council as a new non-permanent member for the years 2017 and 2018. Kazakhstan is a very important country in the United Nations and also in the world.
Triumphant path to membership in the Security Council began in September 2013. Kazakhstan's campaign platform was based on 4 basic principles of global security: food, water, energy, and nuclear non-proliferation. The country's strategy is based on strengthening peace, combating terrorism, and promotion of global disarmament. During its campaign, Kazakhstan offered other countries to annually allocate 1% of its defense budget for social and economic development of all countries of the world. Kazakhstan put forward a number of initiatives aimed at finding adequate solutions to these issues. The initiatives included the proposal to convene the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia, the creation of the Register of Global Environmental Problems with mechanisms of their solutions, the adoption of the UN Special Program for Central Asia's economies, the development of the global energy and environmental strategy. Kazakhstan joined all 13 international universal conventions against terrorism. Kazakhstan supported the establishment and taken an active part in international anti-terrorism coalition. In December 2009, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution proposed by Kazakhstan, International Day Against Nuclear Tests, by consensus. Thus, August 29 was picked to observe the day. On this day in 1991, Semipalatinsk nuclear test site was shut down in Kazakhstan. The Treaty on a Nuclear-Free Zone in Central Asia came into force. Kazakhstan is an active participant of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and advocates for its early entry into force. Low-enriched uranium bank is being created in Kazakhstan under the auspices of the IAEA for the countries planning to develop nuclear energy. Thus, it is difficult to overestimate the role of Kazakhstan in combating the proliferation of nuclear weapons. The Republic has rightfully acquired the reputation of a global leader in nuclear disarmament.
Приоритетным направлением деятельности ООН было и остается укрепление международного.
The priority activities of the United Nations have been and remain strengthening of international peace and security. And Kazakhstan's choice in favor of nuclear arms-free status is considered by the United Nations as a real contribution to nuclear disarmament, non-proliferation, and nuclear test ban. This has been noted in several resolutions of the Assembly since 1994.
Kazakhstan's initiative, the UN announced the 2013-2022 as the International Decade for the Rapprochement of Cultures, believing that open intercultural and interreligious dialogue will contribute to strengthening peace and security. Kazakhstan offered an idea of conducting the Congress of Leaders of World and Traditional Religions, which hosts successfully.
Наш съезд, инициированный президентом, является уникальным мероприятием с точки зрения...
Our Congress, initiated by the President, is unique and it brings together the religious leaders and politicians.
В ходе последнего 5-го съезда в Астане.
For example, during the previous 5th Congress in Astana, the UN Security General, the King of Jordan, the President of Finland, and many politicians, heads of international organizations,
руководители международных организаций, которые вместе с лидерами мировых
discussed the pressing issues facing the world together with the leaders of world religions.
Столкновение цивилизаций, столкновение религии, рост террористических настроений в мире.
Due to the chairmanship in a number of international organizations such as the OIC, OSCE, CICA, SCO, CSTO, Kazakhstan has gained valuable experience in solving the most complex and important issues on the international agenda. According to the Charter, the Security Council has a primary responsibility for maintaining international peace and security. The Security Council consists of 15 members, 5 of which are permanent. They are England, France, USA, Russia, and China. 10 non-permanent members are elected for 2 years. Unlike permanent members, non-permanent Security Council participants do not have a veto power.
Each of the non-permanent members of the Security Council comes to this body with its own priorities, but the implementation depends on the collective will of all the members of the Security Council. At various time, non-permanent members of the Security Council were able to draw attention and to adopt resolutions on such topical issues such as women, peace and security, children in armed conflicts, the protection of medical personnel during conflict, trafficking in human beings. And you agree that they all have very practical importance.
Before being appointed the UN Security General, Antonio Guterres visited the capitals of 5 Security Council permanent member states. The 6th visit was paid to Kazakhstan, which demonstrates a particular role of our country among the 10 non-permanent members.
I had the honor to come several times to visit you, and there was always an extremely positive attitude from the government of Kazakhstan in relation to our cause. And so I'm sure that as Secretary General I'll come even more often to Kazakhstan.
The Security Council plays a leading role in determining the existence of peace threats or acts of aggression. It calls the parties to settle disputes peacefully and recommends methods of peaceful resolution of conflicts. In some cases, the Security Council can impose sanctions or even authorize the use of armed forces to maintain or restore international peace and security. At present, the United Nations is conducting 16 peacekeeping operations. In total, 69 peacekeeping operations have been carried out since 1948.
To adopt such kind of decision, it is required to have 9 Security Council members' votes out of 15. And in this case, we are talking about the most pressing problem for everyone: peace and security. Peace and security for the country, for the people, for the family. And it is enough just to look around and see how many countries were now embroiled in conflicts and how many victims, how enormous are humanitarian disasters we are witnessing. Imagine that the problems of the African continent account for almost 70% of the agenda items of the Security Council. And we are going to seek solutions and to express our assessment of the situation. For example, in South Sudan, the Central African Republic, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in some other countries or regions subjects to the Security Council's deliberations.
The United Nations noted Kazakhstan's special role in promoting peace and security in the world. President Nursultan Nazarbayev's global initiatives have become relevant for all the member states of this authoritative international organization, and the Kazakh leaders' manifesto, The World, 21st Century, has become an official UN document.
Казахстан заслужил огромный международный авторитет.
Kazakhstan has earned this huge international recognition. The culmination of it is the Kazakh President's Manifesto, The World, 21st Century, where he outlined the long-term goals on promotion of morality, of peacekeeping in all levels of the international relations. Kazakhstan's foreign policy is perceived as stable and predictable by the world community that supports its initiatives. These are the priority areas the country has outlined for the next 2 years as the UN Security Council.
В первую очередь, это, конечно же, мирные инициативы главы государства, которые...
First of all, there are Kazakh President's peace initiatives, which are stated in his manifesto. They include nuclear disarmament, the world free from nuclear weapons and nuclear proliferation.
И здесь предполагается целый комплекс мер и шагов.
And this assumes a number of steps. A new challenge for everyone is international terrorism. We will work actively to combat it.
Формулировал свое видение в этой области. Он сказал, что только сообща мы можем побороть это зло.
The Kazakh president said that only the joint efforts can battle this evil. There are also the development matters. Economic development is impossible without peace. For us, our region is of particular priority. Kazakhstan and Central Asia make up a new region which, on the world map, appeared only 25 years ago from the political standpoint. Therefore, we need to look for new ways to combine joint political and economic efforts to ensure security in our region. Speaking of our region, we also imply Afghanistan, as the situation in Afghanistan has a direct impact on the safety and long-term development of the region. Therefore, matters of Central Asia and Afghanistan will be only the most important areas in our work at the Security Council. It is extremely important that Kazakhstan will represent the interests of the regional group, which includes both small states, which can't always evoke a response from the world powers. The country's goal is to make sure their voices are heard at the UN Security Council. We have had G7, G8, now we have G20, which brings together the most developed countries. But everyone else should also have an opportunity to have their views and visions heard, to partake. And Kazakhstan in this situation formulates its own viewpoints and positions. For example, at the G Global, the Kazakh president put forward his idea. Kazakhstan now can act as a leader of the group of the non-aligned countries which are neutral, which would like to say that nobody needs these conflicts, clashes and wars. Nobody benefits from those. I think these ideas must be heard.
Of course, first of all, it should be mentioned that Kazakhstan is the first country of Central Asia which has been elected as non-permanent member of the Security Council of the UN. That's why Kazakhstan will provide the interests of all Central Asian countries at the Security Council, and it's our mission. And you know, there are a lot of problems in our region concerning terrorism, extremism, poverty, environment and other issues. That's why it's our responsibility to raise these issues and to make sure that the international community pay enough attention to resolve or mitigate those problems.
Regarding nuclear safety, Kazakhstan will focus its attention on issues such as the ban on the placement of lethal weapons in outer space, on the bottom and in the neutral waters of the world ocean and the Arctic, the creation of the UN Register of Scientific Discoveries that can be used to improve the weapons of mass destruction, the creation of large-scale nuclear-free zones on the basis of the current 6 zones free of nuclear weapons. Kazakhstan will continue its peacekeeping activities. The vast experience of chairmanship in such authoritative structures as the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation will be useful as well. Presently, Kazakhstan continues to chair the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. In the recent years, Astana secured a reputation of a successful platform for a dialogue to address the most relevant problems of the modern world.
За годы независимости наш лидер приобрел непререкаемый международный авторитет.
In the years of independence, the Kazakh president has earned an indisputable authority. He has established very good personal relations with many world leaders, both in the neighboring countries and far abroad.
Надежным, беспристрастным, активным, справедливым партнером.
Kazakhstan acts as a reliable, impartial, active, fair partner.
В решении тех или иных вопросов. Так было и с предложением по проведению равных переговоров по Ирану.
Many countries have started asking us to help find solutions in various issues. A round of talks on Iran was proposed to be held in Kazakhstan, also the talks on the Ukrainian crisis. New initiatives, Minsk I, Minsk II, have been launched. The initiatives on restoring the situation between Russia and Turkey. Summing up all these requests, confirm the indisputable authority of our leader.
За советом, за содействием является, еще раз повторю, непререкаемый авторитет нашего лидера.
Regarding water safety, the country has accumulated successful experience in restoration of the Northern Aral Sea and, in general, its rehabilitation on the basis of joint efforts of the Central Asian countries. As part of the general development, Kazakhstan proposed its initiatives to open an international center for the development of green technologies and investment projects in Astana under the auspices of the UN.
Мы создаем международный финансово-экономический хаб.
We are creating an international economic hub, centralized in Astana, to develop private initiatives, create the necessary conditions for the implementation of business projects.
Для реализации бизнес-проектов на нашем пространстве. И второе...
We also want to create a center of green technologies on the basis of the Expo 2017. Its aim will be to preserve the technologies brought to Kazakhstan during the Expo and make sure the continuity of sustainable development practices and developments. We want to create an international center under the auspices of the UN, which will give an impetus to the promotion and implementation of green economy projects. One of the Kazakh president's important initiatives is the idea of the creation of the UN Regional Center in Almaty, which was first presented by President Nursultan Nazarbayev during a meeting with the former UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon in September 2011. Currently, between Vienna and Bangkok, there is no effective and significant representative office of the United Nations. Kazakhstan proposes to raise the status of the existing United Nations presence in Almaty to a regional scale.
At the United Nations, only in recent years, Kazakhstan has been or is continuing to work as a member of the Human Rights Council, the Economic and Social Council, Commission on Narcotic Drugs, the Commission on the Status of Women, the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. Kazakhstan has been elected as the vice chair of the 70th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Please note that all these bodies are elected ones. As a recognition to the active policy of Kazakhstan on promoting the gender equality and women's empowerment, my country is hosting the UN Women Multi-Country Office, as well as the Office of the United Nations Environmental Program. And the headquarters of the Central Asian Regional Information and Coordination Center for Combating Drug Trafficking is located in Kazakhstan. Totally, there are 18 offices of the United Nations agencies, programs and funds operating in Astana and Almaty.
Since joining the organization, Kazakhstan has actively participated in all its major events and hosted major international forums under its auspices, such as the 63rd ESCAP session, the WHO conference dedicated to the 30th anniversary of the Almaty Declaration on Primary Health Care, 18th session of the General Assembly of the World Tourism Organization, and the 6th Ministerial Conference on Environment and Development for Asia and the Pacific, and the first Global UN Conference for Landlocked Countries.
In 1993, at the 48th UN General Assembly, we initiated a special resolution on assistance to countries which, similar to Kazakhstan, have no access to the sea and the development of their transit transport potential. And this resolution has opened a new important area in the UN activities in the field of economic cooperation.
Kazakhstan, during its membership in the UN, has managed not only to successfully integrate into the international community, but also to take its rightful place in it. Within the framework of the UN, Kazakhstan has put forward a lot of initiatives in different years.
Kazakhstan enters the Security Council as a mature participant of multilateral processes. It is worth mentioning numerous successfully implemented initiatives put forward at the United Nations, such as the Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, the creation of United Nations Special Program for the Economics of Central Asia, rehabilitation of areas of ecological disaster, the Aral Sea and Semipalatinsk, for which the General Assembly resolutions were adopted. We mentioning also partnership program Green Bridge, which will continue within the Expo 2017 in Astana. Due to the initiative of Kazakhstan, supported by member states, 29th of August was proclaimed as the International Day Against Nuclear Tests.
Kazakhstan's active participation in peacekeeping activities is evidenced by the creation of Kazakhstan's peacekeeping battalion, Kazbat 2003. Its units have been actively involved in mine clearance in Iraq as part of stabilization forces from 2003 to 2008. Several dozen Kazakh citizens work in various UN bodies. They participate in the activities related to peacekeeping, development, fighting against drugs, budgetary issues, conference facilities, communications, and information technology.
Currently on 4 continents, 16 peacekeeping operations are deployed. They involved nearly 124,000 troops, police, civilian personnel from more than 100 countries. And the budget of such operations almost more than, well, $8 million American dollars. And Kazakhstan is contributing to peacekeeping by sending our military observers. 13 of them from Kazakhstan have been already or currently serving in Africa. And together with relevant structures of the United Nations, we are currently working on training the whole company to be sent to UN peacekeeping missions.
I would like to say there are a number of permanent committees at the Security Council of the UN, and Kazakhstan has been elected to chair 3 committees at the Security Council of the UN. In particular, the Committee on Afghanistan, the Committee on Fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and the Committee on committee concerning Somali, and that's why I should say, and Kazakhstan will chair a few very important permanent committees at the Security Council of the UN.
Kazakhstan believes the UN today is needed and relevant more than ever, and there is no alternative to it. Only under the auspices of the World Organization, humanity can develop effective collective responses to global challenges. As President Nursultan Nazarbayev outlines in the Manifesto of the World, the 21st century, any modern war will not and can't have a winner. Everyone will lose in it. Peaceful dialogue and constructive negotiations should become a basis for the settlement of all disputes between the states. This will be one of the main vectors of Kazakhstan's work as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council in the next 2 years.